You think you're the one deciding what you eat. You think that craving for something salty, that sudden ache for sugar at 9 p.m., that gut punch feeling before a big decision, you think that's you, your brain, your willpower, winning or losing. But there's a colony living inside you right now that's been running this system since before your species existed, before Neanderthals ever lit a fire, before humans, as we'd recognize them, existed at all. And it never went extinct. Not once. Not when ice sheets swallowed continents. Not when volcanoes blacked out the sun for years. Not when entire hominin lineages disappeared off the face of the planet. Every single ancestor you ever had, going back tens of millions of years, carried a version of this same colony forward. Right now, it's still inside you, still running. We're talking about your gut bacteria, and its story is older, stranger, and more powerful than almost anything else living in your body. Let's start with a number that should stop you cold. Some of the bacterial lineages living in the human gut today can be traced back over 15 million years, splitting and co-evolving alongside the ancestors of humans, chimps, and gorillas long before any of those species existed as we know them. 15 million years. Neanderthals only appear in the fossil record around 400,000 years ago. Compared to your gut bacteria, Neanderthals are practically newborns. That gap matters because it changes the whole story of who's really been surviving out here. When Neanderthals faced Ice Age Europe, they had thick bodies built for cold, brute strength, bigger brains by volume than ours. On paper, they should have outsurvived us. But some researchers who study ancient dental plaque and preserved gut samples have found a pattern. Neanderthal microbiomes appear to have been narrower, less diverse, more specialized around a heavy meat diet. Homo sapiens, migrating across totally different climates and food sources, needed something that could keep up, and their gut bacteria delivered. A more flexible, more diverse microbial community that could shift with them into new forests, new coastlines, new frozen tundras every time the menu changed. That flexibility might be one of the quiet, unglamorous reasons we're here telling this story, and Neanderthals aren't. Here's the mechanism. Every time early humans moved into a new region, they weren't adapting alone. Their gut bacteria were adapting with them in real time, across generations. New plants meant new fibers that needed new bacterial tools to break down. New meats meant new fat profiles that needed different microbial specialists. Every migration was really two species moving together, the human and the trillions of microbes riding along, rewriting their own genetic toolkit to match whatever the human now had to eat to survive. This is coevolution in its purest form. Your immune system learned to tolerate these bacteria instead of attacking them. In exchange, they learn to produce vitamins your body can't make on its own, train your immune cells to recognize real threats, and break down fibers your own enzymes are completely helpless against. Neither side could do this alone. Neither side ever really has. And this is where the story escalates, because this partnership wasn't just about survival snacks. It became a hidden lever for dominance. Groups with more resilient, more diverse gut ecosystems could handle famine better, recover from food poisoning faster, extract more usable energy out of scarce or unfamiliar food. In a world where the difference between living and starving came down to margins that small, an adaptable gut wasn't a footnote. It was a survival technology, just one that happened to be invisible. Zoom out for a second. Picture every human who has ever lived, stretching back across 100,000 generations, all the way into deep prehistory. Different faces, different continents, different tools, different fires. And underneath every single one of them, the same inherited colony, quietly working, quietly adjusting, never once going dark. Now zoom back in, back to you tonight, because that ancient unbroken system is still fully online, and it's still steering more of your daily behavior than you'd probably like to admit. That craving that hit you an hour ago wasn't random. Certain gut bacteria produce compounds compounds that can influence dopamine signaling in your brain, effectively nudging you toward the exact foods that keep those bacterial populations thriving. Your gut isn't a passenger in your decision-making. In a very real sense, it's lobbying for its own interests, and it's very good at making its interests feel like yours. That knot in your stomach before something stressful, that fog after a bad night's sleep, even shifts in mood that seem to come out of nowhere. Increasingly, researchers studying the gut-brain connection are finding threads running straight back to this same ancient microbial system, communicating with your brain through pathways your ancestors never had to consciously think about because they didn't need to. It just worked. It still does. So here's the reversal, all the way back to where we started. You thought you were the one in charge tonight, deciding what to eat, why you're restless, why some random craving showed up out of nowhere. But some of that decision was made 15 million years ago, refined through every famine, every migration, every ice age your ancestors barely survived, and handed down to you fully operational. You're not just carrying your own history forward, you're carrying theirs too. And tonight, when that craving hits again, it might be worth asking, whose idea was that really?